now I have to go take the rope down, and I've got to put a milk crate at the base of each of these trees and cut them off. And then I've got to scarf a notch into each one. So I got a place to rest my ridge beam before I go wiring it in place. And that's going to be painful, but that's the way it's got to be done. Now I'm still going to add some nails in the top of the ridge beam, in the center pole here. So I've got something to wire to, just in the beginnings, to actually hold the ridge pole up so it doesn't keep falling down on me. So why did I notch the top of that center pole? And I didn't notch it very big, but I notched it equal on each side. So let me tell you, the center part of that notched section is just about the same thickness as my two ridge poles on their narrowest end. That's where the narrow ends go, is on the center pole. The wide ends are going to go on the trees that are still rooted, that I'm going to top off. That way I only got a notch on one side, and I can notch it a little deeper and have a shelf to set the butt end on and wire it in place. It's all a matter of thinking it out ahead. Instead of having to bury 3 logs in the ground, I only had to dig and bury 1. Now, I'm not going to have you sit here and watch me construct the whole thing. I will tell you this. When I get the pallets in here, I'm going to cover them in plastic and stuff them with leaves for insulation. And then I'm going to take small saplings the size of my thumb out of the thicket, and they're going to go as rafters along between the ridge pole and the wall. And they will be wired in place as well. Now I'll bring you back and show you a part of that job. The pallets will actually, I'll take saplings and stake into the ground and put the pallets on over the stakes and then stuff them with leaves in place. And then put my roof beams on, stretch my tarp over it. And then we'll worry about the end walls after that. But once I've got that much done, I can move my kitchen inside. Because those tarps there and these tarps over here are going to be part of the construction. Plus I've got to go buy some more, some 5x7s. Just the cheap blue tarps. See, they're a little stronger than the sheet plastic. The sheet plastic is going to be there just to contain the leaves and to keep the bugs contained that are in the leaves in the wall itself. And then I'm going to stretch 5x7s across the outside of the wall and staple it in place with my hammer tacker. And that's going to be the surface that the weather hits. The blue tarps, they're cheapos, they're shit, but they're stronger than the just clear plastic. The point being, it's a simple one. It's to keep the weather out. And then my roof tarp will come down and over and just barely overlap the sidewalls and be tacked in place over the top of the blue tarps. That way water runs down and off. Now, I showed you my one blue tarp that's out in the field for rain catch. I've added another tarp out here that's bigger. It's a 10x10. It was to be the tarp roof for my hammock. I've pressed it into service as a rain catch for now. And I've actually gotten more rainwater off the 10x10 than I did off that little blue tarp. I've gotten water off of it, but not very much. So, c'est la vie, such is life. So that's the mid-October update of how I'm doing and how I'm making it out. I'm barely surviving. I've got about $400 to work with. But that's earmarked still for payments on the truck and payments on my storage. And the last time I checked, nobody's bothered to go to my Patreon and look at the videos I've got up. Wonder why I haven't brought out that project to show you yet. I made a project that I want to show on my YouTube, but if I don't make some money on it, I ain't going to show it. Oh, another update. I have finally joined the club of the toothless old farts. So for you trolls who are complaining, why don't I go get that tooth pulled? It's gone. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had all my teeth extracted, and in about a month and a half or 2 months, maybe 3, I'll go ahead and get the molds made for dentures. So I'll be able to bite you. Yeah. And just like that, boys and girls, the first one's on the ground. Here's the cut off top. Down there's the ground. Yeah, I'm standing up on a pair of milk crates. That way I can reach where the top of my ridge pole is going to be. Now I've got to cut here and then baton it off. And how am I going to do that? Well, hanging right here, I got my bow saw, I got my baton, and right there I got my Garberg. So that's where we're at the moment. Now then, a lot of you are asking, Emberado, instead of using that 20-inch greenwood blade, how come you didn't break out your 36-inch saw in your belt? Well, because the Baco blade is a drywood blade, not a greenwood blade. And even though this tree had a lot of signs it was dying, it's still alive, just barely. So greenwood calls for a greenwood blade, a type 23 blade. And that's what's on my small bow saw. So that's what I'm using. When I want to cut drywood, like that, I'll either use my folding saw, or I'll break out the 36-incher, depending on the size of the wood to be cut. It's all a matter of knowing the proper tool for the job. Oh, and look at how neatly I laid that sucker down, right next to my chair without hitting the chair. I actually put it right where I planned, between my slate bar and my center upright post. I dropped it right where I wanted it. That's what you can do when you've also worked at least 2 years as a lumberjack, topping trees, something I did for a while. Peace. Okay, I told you that first pine tree that I cut down was not healthy, that it was dying. That is observed by all the pine needles laying on the ground from just dropping it. A healthy pine tree cut down while it's still green does not drop needles. This should tell you exactly how unhealthy that pine tree was and why I chose it. And this one is almost dead. So is that one and that one. They're going to be the next ones to fall to my machete and such, because the wall of my tent's got to go over there. But so I'm talking about those two little ones right there. They'll go. The big one here and the smaller one over there, they'll probably stay. But those two will have to go right there. And then I'll have my footprint. And next I'll probably show you, after I get the ridge poles up and wired in place, I'll probably put the tarp over the top and guy it out for now, just so you can get a rough idea of what the footprint of my cabin tent will be. Peace. Okay, boys and girls, there's my first half-lap joint for my ridge pole. The other end is just held up in the air near its finish point with a piece of rope. And as you can see, I've got a pair of steps made so I can climb up there. And I will put a couple of nails and some wire, just as I've done here, to hold the end in place on top. I will then Forgive me while I grab something. I will then trim off the excess length and let it drop. Now, you notice the tops of the two trees aren't here anymore. That's because they are right there, leaned up against that tree for later use. Waste not, want not. And here is the pile of boughs that came off of both trees combined, with a big pile of leaves underneath, so there's not a whole lot of pine boughs there. They will probably be used in some fashion. I don't know yet just how. Waste not, want not. Then I got a chunk of wood there, and a chunk of wood over there, and another chunk of wood over there. Those all came from this tree that was my center post. It was dead as a doornail, rotted right through at the bottom. And here, let me bring you over here and show you this piece here. I think this is the one, yeah. This was the bottom of the tree that you're seeing now instead of the top. So it was not a loss when I took it down. And I took it down by simply leaning on it. So I'll finish getting the ridgepole up, and then I'll bring you back and show you with the tarp over it. Well, my friends, it is now coming up towards the 1st of November. And as I told you, I was working on my shelter for this winter. I'm about to put the roof on, and I got started and thought, wait a minute, I should be filming this. So it's already in progress. So let me turn you around here. What I've done is I folded my tarp in for the long way, and then I folded it in for the other direction, so it was a square. I laid it here on this corner. I tied this lower corner to the crossbar, unfolded it across so it was it folded still in fourths, and tied over there, just temporarily with nylon string, fishing line. I then tied a rope to the other corner, tossed them over the roof, and I have them over here. Let me bring you over here so you can see what goes on next. Forgive the rough handling here. And don't mind the complaints about pain in my foot. The doctors have diagnosed me with a bone spur, and it's painful as all get out right now. Okay, so now you can see the roof. I've added the cross members as I told you I was going to for support of the tarp. And then what I did was, one at a time on each rope, I tied my garberg as a weight and tossed it up over the roof. So now all I have to do is grab the rope and pull the tarp up over the top. And now I got to go down and pull the other end over there a little bit. Just like that, my roof is on. I still got to tether it down in place so the wind can't blow it off. But this should give you some idea. Well, see my fishing line ties on this side, but that's okay. They did what I needed for as long as I needed them to. I mean, I still got to go around and tug it into place all the way around, but you get the whole idea. Now let's come over here under this other tarp where I was holding you last time. And this should give you a clue as to what's going to be the size of my living space for the winter. Not bad. Oh. Now this is what they would refer to as a wall tent. No, the walls are not up yet. I have to wait until sometime in December because I'm waiting on my Social Security hearing to get money. Just a minute, I'm adjusting my tripod here. Oh. And when my Social Security hearing is accomplished, I'll be able to afford to go and buy the plywood and such to make the walls. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail on this topic right now, but I've been contacted by another YouTuber who has offered some assistance. And it seems he's in the process of making a wood stove for me out of a 30-gallon propane tank. I don't know as he wants me to publicize it or not, as far as who he is or any of that. That will have to wait for a while. For right now, let's just say it was very kind of him to make the offer to help. It's going to be much appreciated, but I'm not going to say who he is or any of that until I've had a chance to go over that with him. But when it arrives, I'll show it to you. And let me make it crystal clear. It is much appreciated. So far in talking to him, it seems he's going to make me a stove with a flat top so I can cook on it. And probably about 14 to 16 feet of chimney pipe total. Now I've got to have it go out of the stove, turn 90 degrees to go out through the back wall. Then once outside, 90 degrees to go straight up. So we're actually talking probably 20 feet of pipe total. And I'm not sure just what size, whether he's going to go 3-inch or 4-inch. Like I say, it's not completely hashed out between he and I yet. But that's what's in the process. I do not believe my nylon line is going to be strong enough to tie the tarp on with, though I'm going to have to use that for now because that's all I've got. And then I got to go and move that entire pile that was under that tarp over here under the tarp again. And hope to God it's enough to keep it dry. This tarp will then get snugged up against the other tarp and be used as a open porch for me to do things like cutting and splitting firewood and that sort of chore. I've still got to get busy and re-rake what's going to be the inside of my hovel. But boy, have I got a lot of work yet to do and too little time to get it done in. Because as I say, we are here now in the first couple days of November. Fortunately, I've got yet a month to wait, unfortunately, for Social Security to decide to have a hearing. And at my age, this gets real tiring real quick. So for now, from here at Camp Smithy, peace out. By the way, don't forget to